Hey everyone, Shabby here and welcome back to the next episode of our SWE World Cup. This is our second match in Group B, India versus Australia. Might not sound like the best one on paper, but there are some cracking guys in this competition, and I feel like these could be some quite interesting matches. And here is our first match of the evening. It is going to be Sonjay Dutt representing India, taking on Shane Thorne representing Australia. And like I said, it's going to be an interesting one. We're going to see some people such as Shane Thorne, who normally we see as part of a tag team. And of course his partner Nick Miller is also Australian in this match here this evening. Get a chance to really see how these guys get on in singles competition. And you never know, they might have a good run here. Of course they've got Buddy Murphy as well. This is India being the third seed team in this group. They of course have got Sonjay Dutt and the great Khali and Jinder Mahal. Australia with TM61's Nick Miller and Shane Thorne and Buddy Murphy. So I think Australia are probably the underdogs in this one, but, you know, could be a decent night for them. You never know. There we go. I pressed the button on my phone and Pokemon Go popped up. I leave Pokemon Go on now in my new house because I get really bad GPS, so if I leave it on somewhere, it runs around and hatches eggs for me. That's my little cheat. Anyway. So yeah, it's a pretty strong team, the Indian side, and based on the results a couple of days ago with with England and Japan, this group is very much up for grabs, not up for grabs as such, but very much in a good position for someone to grab it by the knackers and go for it, really, because England winning that match 3-2, which means that if India or Australia here were to have a very, very strong night, then they could actually top the group after the first round of matches, although when we start to see England versus India and Japan versus India, I think Japan definitely will probably dominate most of this. But you never know. That's the best thing about this tournament. We don't know who's going to be looking great. We've already seen a few people maybe have a couple of surprising results, ones that we weren't necessarily expecting from them, but I'm still pretty happy. I think this is going pretty well so far. I know we're only on episode, what is this? This is the second match of Group B. As we've seen all of Group A so far, and what are we in Group A? So we saw, yeah, decent 3-2 there in Group A between New Zealand and Scotland. A very close one, that one. I think the only whitewash we've seen so far was USA versus Europe, which surprised me. I thought Europe might put a bit more of a fight in that one, but who knows? Maybe we have another whitewash here. If we do, then one of these two teams will top the group. Nice front-end flatliner. Running flatliner there by Shane Thorne. I need to make sure I know who's in the ring at all times. And of course, I think having Shane Thorne and Nick Miller might be a good advantage for Australia in the six-man tag, because it means that they will have tag team experience, whereas not a lot of the other teams in this competition do. They're more of a collection of single stars, whereas Australia is the one that has got that link. So maybe that little bit of tag team experience might come in handy for TM61. And of course, that's where the big points are in that tag team match. Of course, that's worth 2 at the end of the show. And so far, yeah, so far all 3 teams that have won that 6-man tag have won the episode. So it shows how big it is. The only way not to win the episode is to lose all 3 singles matches. So as long as you win 1 singles match and you get that 6-man tag match, you win the episode and you finish ahead of your opponents. Like I said, this is an interesting one though, because, well, no matter what happens here, someone's going to go joint top of the group with England, or more, shall I say? We're gonna end up with this show with somebody either joint top or on their own top of the group, which is going to be interesting moving into the second round of matches, which is going to be where are we? Japan versus India and England versus Australia is the second set of matches. So Japan versus Australia is going to be very, very tough for Australia. Now, Australia is like I said, is a pretty underrated team, maybe dark horses in this competition, but unfortunately when you start, in my opinion, when you start to put people like Nick Miller and Shane Thorne and Buddy Murphy against Okada, Tanahashi and Nakamura, I think they might struggle. England versus India might be interesting, actually. There's some pretty interesting dynamics in that one. We might see a few close matches. There's going to be quite a few of those where, like the sort of matches, like I think this Indian versus Australia match here is actually a bit more close than people might think. with the likes of, well, this match as well, I think. Both guys are high 7. I think Thorne is a high 70 and Dutt is a low 80, I think. So they're pretty close stats-wise, so it could really go either way. I think next up we've got Nick Miller versus the Great Khali, which could be a little bit of a one-sided one, you never know. And then the final singles match is going to be Buddy Murphy versus Jinder Mahal, which again is going to be an interesting one. There's the pin, only a 1 count. You know what, I quite like Buddy Murphy, I must admit. I respect the lad. I still don't understand WWE's decision to break Buddy Murphy and the other guy up. I forgot the other guy's name now. There's the pin by Sonjay Dutt. Only a 1 count. I feel like Shane Thorne might be, well, nothing against Sonjay Dutt, but I feel like Shane Thorne might be the best opportunity for Australia to get a point in these first 3 singles matches. Nice lion salt there by Sonjay. Sonjay bringing Thorne back up, but Thorne taking him down. And there's the jawbreaker. Sonjay starting to get some control in this one now. Tries to chase him down the ropes, completely missed him, then clotheslines him over the top. Remember, count-out victory does count. We've had 1 count-out victory. Have we? I don't know, actually. I seem to think we've had 1 count-out victory already, have we? I don't know, actually. Nice air raid slam there by Sonjay Dutt. Stamping on the arm. Now stamping in the face as well. As Sonjay's stalking him into a Shining Wizard. Now Sonjay's stalking Shane Thorne. Will this be point number 1? India. There it is. The Seth Walker, the Salida del Sol, whatever you want to call it, is enough for Sonjay Dutt to pick up point number 1 of the evening for India. And that's a great start for them. Like I said, I honestly thought that Shane Thorne was going to be Australia's best opportunity of getting a point here this evening against Sonjay. I think the other 2 matches might be a little bit one-sided. Nick Miller versus the Great Khali is going to be a tricky one. But also Buddy Murphy versus Jinder Mahal is going to be a very, very tricky one for Buddy Murphy. But it's not all over. There's still a lot to fight for here this evening. But the one thing Australia do not want is a 5-0 whitewash. And here is our second match of the evening. The Great Khali takes on Nick Miller for the all-important second point of the evening. So this should be interesting then. The Great Khali is maybe overrated in the past. I think it's more his size than anything else that maybe makes him a little bit more intimidating, but maybe not necessarily as good as what people make him out to be. Be interesting to see how this match goes. Nick Miller, will he have a better opportunity here than what Shane Thorne did against Sonjay Dutt? I think it's going to be difficult for him. He's got to definitely try to utilise his strengths. He can't try and outdo Jinder, or outdo Khali, should I say, sorry, in strength. It's just not going to happen. So he's got to utilise his strengths, which is going to be his pace and his agility. That's what he's got over the Great Khali. And if he has any chance of even thinking of getting a victory here, that's exactly what he has to do. And I can't see if my recording's working. 1 second. I'm going to check it. And there you go. That's okay. I can see it now. I'm going back. And I'm back. Yeah, my monitor went onto screensaver and I'm on the other side of the room now. This is so much more comfortable. Where I've moved to now, I've managed to hook up my microphone onto my sofa. So instead of being sat at my desk doing all my recording now, I'm literally just sat on the sofa, all curled up with a beer. Oh, it's great fun. This is what dreams were made of. If I'd known I could have had a recording set up this comfortable, I would have done it a long time ago. So then, Great Khali versus Nick Miller, which leaves Jinder Mahal versus Buddy Murphy. I quite like the Australian team. I feel like the Australian team maybe in 10 years' time would be a lot stronger. I don't know how big the future for Buddy Murphy is going to be in WWE. He seems to be getting a little bit of a push. Seems like Triple H is a fan anyway. TM61 still very much up and coming. Of course, had a bad situation with an injury when they first came in, which held them both out for a year, even though only one of them was injured, obviously. But held them both out for a year, which was quite uncomfortable. Quite unfortunate, should I say. But now they're back. They are getting some NXT TV time, and they're getting a few squash matches in, so maybe WWE do have a decent future for them. I feel like they could be a good face team. I don't think they can quite live up to the hype of what... oh, there's a handshake there between Great Khali and Nick Miller. That's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't think they're going to quite hold up to the quality of DIY, but that's a massive, massive moniker to try and take on as a face tag team in NXT. As Great Khali utilising his strength very early to take an early lead against Nick Miller. And this is one thing Nick cannot afford, is to get behind against Khali. But he's not at the moment. He's back in control. That's the big one. Wow. Nick Miller just suplexed the Great Khali. Yes, you heard me right, people. Nick Miller suplexed the Great Khali. Khali tripping Miller over. Brings him back up to a standing base. Oh, what a headbutt. What a freaking headbutt. Khali now wrenching back at the arm and slamming a forearm across it. Now taking Miller up to a fall away slam. As the Great Khali just turns Miller over. It was too close to the ropes. But this is just what Nick Miller cannot afford, is being dominated like this. He cannot afford it. He needs to be in control of this match where he can. The longer that Khali controls the pace of the match, the more he's going to put it in his own favour. But Miller fighting back. Does he have enough though? Ooh, it's catching. There we go. Using your speed, your agility to your advantage. Big boot across the gut of Khali. Now dragging him more middle of the rope. Just trying to take him down. Work away at the body parts. That's the best way forward. Khali now bringing Miller back up. Stiff right hand, but Miller catches him again. Like I said, it's just the pace of Miller. But Khali there, wow. The big whack on the top of the head. We've seen that many a times now. Khali stalking Miller, takes him up, chokes him out, and double-handed chokeslam, crashes him down to the ground below. And Great Khali, it might not be pretty, but it's effective. And it's 2-0 to India. It is not looking good here for Australia at all, is it? 2-0 down after 2 matches. Great Khali dominant. Wow. Brutal by Great Khali. Absolutely brutal. And there we go. Great Khali makes it 2-0 to India. A little bit of a down. Oh, that's actually his celebration. Okay, I didn't realise it was on the game. Interesting. So one more singles match left. Jinder Mahal versus Buddy Murphy. Can Buddy Murphy give Australia a chance? If Jinder wins this next singles match, no matter what happens, India will win tonight. It's just down to how many points. If Buddy Murphy can get the victory against Jinder, then all of a sudden it comes down to the 6-man tag. And here is our final singles match of the evening. Jinder Mahal takes on Buddy Murphy in this all-important this all-important make-or-break match here for Australia and Buddy Murphy. If Buddy Murphy fails to win this one, then India will win the night and at least go joint top with England. If India win the 6-man tag as well, then India will top the group at the end of this episode. India surprisingly strong, aren't they? I bet a lot of people weren't expecting India to be this good. But then again, is it all down to who they're facing off against? Of course, we'll find out at the end of the competition exactly how good they are, because then they would have faced off against everyone. I mean, India versus Japan, for example, I think is going to be India's biggest test. Like, can Jinder Mahal and the great Khali and Sonjay Dutt step up against the likes of Okada, Tanahashi and Nakamura? And can they step up against the likes of Zack Sabre Jr., Pete Dunne, and Marty Scurll as well? That's another interesting one. So Jinder knows what he needs to do. He is the strongest member of their team, which could be an issue here. I think this is probably the least likely match, I think, for... Oh, why do people do this? How stupid are people? How can they not understand the naming on this game? It's simple. It really is simple, honestly. It's not complicated, but a lot of people still bugger it up. It's like you can create a fantastic looking core like that with the correct attire and the good face and all that sort of stuff. When it comes to the name, you just can't figure out how to put the name in properly. God knows, there we go. So Buddy Murphy makes his way to the ring. Yeah, like I said, I think Buddy Murphy is going to be the one that people need to keep an eye on this one. I feel like he might be a pretty much of a dark horse in this one. We've seen how good he can be. By the way, his entrance is still on the game. We'll probably have him back on the game next year if you think about it. Him, anyway, not maybe necessarily Blake. That was his name. Blake and Murphy, that was it. Yes, I don't think we'll see Wesley Blake unless his little NXT stable that they have on the road breaks into TV time. But Buddy Murphy as part of the 205 Live roster, I feel like is a good possibility. That'd be good for our World Cup next year, then if all the Australians are on the game. But the bell goes, we are underway. Jinder Mahal versus Buddy Murphy. It's all down to this one. If Jinder wins this one, then he guarantees India the victory tonight. And that's exactly what he would want to do. He's had a pretty effective start, although Buddy slides out the back now into a German suplex on Jinder Mahal. And don't forget, our next episode is going to be the beginning of Group C. Big one for you. Samoa versus Mexico. Of course, Samoa being the #1 seed in that group, Mexico being the #2 seed, face off against each other. That's going to be a really good one, that one as well. Some strong names in that match. And remember, the winner of this group then will take on second place in Group A, which is very much up for grabs at the moment with Europe's massive loss. And second place in this group will take on the winner of Group A. So I feel like at the moment it might end up being a fight between India and England. You know, we're saying that England beat Japan. Although I still feel like, I don't know, it depends on how... If England have dominant performances against Australia and India, then England could win the group and get an easy second round match. Although, should England struggle and Japan whitewash these two teams, which I'm not being like facetious against the two of them. I feel like Japan and England will dominate. I think Japan will definitely... I feel like Japan have the potential to whitewash both these teams. Beat them 5-0. I feel like they might just well do that as well, to be honest. However... However, I feel like England might struggle a little bit against India. Only because of Jinder, because Jinder's actually quite highly rated on this game. He's 88 rated. So Jinder might cause problems to Japan as well, to be honest with you. As both guys slide back in the ring. But if Buddy Murphy can get the victory here, that would be massive for Australia. And they're still being with a shot of surviving tonight and maybe coming out of a win. Or at least getting a point, because tonight I think is Australia's best chance of getting a point. If they don't get one here this evening, they have a horrible chance of finishing the entire tournament on 0 points, which is something that no team in the tournament wants to do. As Jinder Mahal now just wrenching back at the arm of Buddy Murphy. Nice right hand and a hip toss there by Buddy Murphy. Buddy brings Jinder back up to his feet. Nice bulldog there by Buddy Murphy. You know what? It would have been amazing if he just cracked out the worm there. He takes Jinder up and crumples him onto his knee. And all of a sudden, Buddy Murphy getting some offense. Oh, but the Jinder's back up and just flattens Buddy. But Buddy Murphy once again sliding at the back of Jinder's scoop slam. And now an over-the-top cutter as well by Murphy. He's now stalking Jinder Mahal. Can Buddy Murphy pull this one off? Can he get the point here for Australia against India? He's lining up. Jinder has him up his shoulders into that Death Valley driver with the arm hooked. There's the pin. 1, 2... And Buddy Murphy's done it! Wow! That is a huge victory for Australia. And it means they're not going to finish the entire tournament on 0 points. And it means that Buddy Murphy gets that victory that means that this show is not over yet. This is all down to the 6-man tag. No whitewash here this evening as well. At least Australia have got 1 point. But they can win it tonight now. They've still got that chance to win if they can pull it off in the 6-man tag coming up for you now. What a win by Buddy Murphy. To be honest, I was talking him up and saying he was a dark horse in this, but I really didn't think he had much chance. I really thought Jinder was going to win this match quite easily. And well done, Buddy Murphy. You have proved me completely wrong. And can you pull it off again in a 6-man tag and potentially win the night for Australia? Well, let's find out. And here we go then. Can Australia pull off the great escape? They are 2-1 down at this point in time to India. It's all down now to the big 6-man tag. India versus Australia. And we are going to have success with the 6-man tag entrances. As I said a couple of days ago, I did record a few of these episodes out of order, which was really confusing the life out of me. But the reason was because when I had no internet moving into my new house, I didn't have all the cores downloaded I needed. So I recorded some of the... I didn't record anything. I only recorded the first match from each group. So now I'm going through and record the second match from each group. That's why the first match from each group, you'll find there's no entrances for the 6-man tag, because the game was really bugging out not having any internet. It just kept coming up with an error message saying that due to parental controls, I couldn't use anything that was not created by me. So the game allowed me to use anything that was created by somebody else and nothing created by myself. That makes absolutely no sense, does it? But for some reason, that's what happened. So I've got no idea. No idea at all. But hey-ho, there you go. So there's Team India with Jinder Mahal, who would essentially be the one that you would say was the stronger member of the team, is the only one not to win here this evening. Both the great Khali and Sonjay Dutt doing their job against both members of TM61. Talking of which, there they are alongside Buddy Murphy. Buddy's on a high now after that big victory over Jinder Mahal. He will definitely want to make it 2-2 for him this evening. And he's got a good chance here. Like I said earlier on, I feel like Australia might have a much better chance in the 6-man tag because of the tag team history of Nick Miller and Shane Thorne together. They know how to wrestle together. They're probably one of the only, apart from Puerto Rico's Epico and Primo, and Tonga's Tama Tonga and Tangaroa. Actually, there's quite a few, isn't there? They're one of the only few teams that actually have a tag team involved. Now, Jinder and Khali did team for a very short period of time. So short, it probably wasn't worth mentioning, to be honest with you. But it's all down to a race now. Who can get the victory first? Can Australia pull this one out the bag? We saw England do the same thing yesterday. Can Australia do the same thing here against India? If they do, this group will be absolutely wide open. Wide open. That would be amazing moving into the second round of matches. Nice Phoenix splash there for the middle rope by Shane Thorne. Now Nick Miller follows it up with a diving forearm of his own. Buddy Murphy now going after Khali, which might be the best idea because Buddy Murphy was the strongest member of the Australian team, and Khali looked to be the most dominant member of the Indian team, so maybe by Buddy Murphy trying to take him out of the equation and allowing Nick Miller and Shane Thorne to go after Sonjay Dutt and Jinder Mahal. There's a pin by Nick Miller. Only one count on Sonjay Dutt, and I think Khali and Jinder were so confident that Dutt was going to kick out there, they didn't even try and break it up. They knew there was no point, really. Nice there by Nick Miller. Managed to take out the great Khali and break up the pin at the same time. And now Nick Miller, the only one really on his feet. With great Khali outside the ring. This is the chance now for Australia. 3-on-2 inside the ring. Jinder with a DDT on Nick Miller. Shane Thorne takes Sonjay out. And now it's 3-on-1 inside the ring. But great Khali is back on his feet on the outside. Great Khali slides back in. Only to get caught with the spinning boot in the gut, then a crucifix bomb as well by Shane Thorne. And Jinder once again is isolated. Standing moonsault there by Shane Thorne. Buddy Murphy with a diving dropkick to Jinder. And India struggling here. Australia in quite a lot of control. Neckbreaker on the great Khali. Sonjay Dutt is back up on his feet and getting some offense though on Nick Miller. But Buddy Murphy and Shane Thorne still concentrating their efforts on the great Khali. Although Shane Thorne wasn't concentrating enough and got caught out by Jinder there. Nice trip there by Khali. Sonjay with a boot in the guts of Nick Miller and then into a sunset flip bomb. What a headbutt. And all of a sudden India take control of this match. But can they take advantage of the control? That's the big question. Doesn't matter how much control you've got to actually finish it off. Nice tornado DDT by Sonjay Dutt. Shane Thorne, great dropkick on Jinder Mahal. And Buddy Murphy, quick roll up on Sonjay Dutt, but great Khali saw it. Khali with a headbutt on Buddy Murphy. Shane Thorne takes down Jinder. And all of a sudden, the Australians are back in control until Jinder trips Shane Thorne over and then takes down Nick Miller. And all of a sudden, India's back in control. Pin there by Jinder. As great Khali just launches Buddy Murphy across the ring. And Buddy Murphy slides out the way. And all of a sudden, it's 3-on-1 inside the ring. Jinder Mahal, great Khali and Sonjay Dutt versus Nick Miller. Shane Thorne and Buddy Murphy need to get back up to have any chance of turning this match back around. Shane Thorne's back in the ring. And poor communication there, as Sonjay actually almost took out his own man there. Sonjay now taking Nick Miller up, but Nick Miller fighting free into that reverse DDT. Buddy Murphy's back up on his feet in the ring as well. Jinder doesn't see him. Buddy Murphy picks his moment correctly. Oh my god, Shane Thorne just sit out powerbomb great Khali. Oh, hello. Neckbreaker there by Buddy Murphy. We saw that earlier on. That's how he set Jinder up for a potential finish. Pinned by Nick Miller. If Nick Miller can take out Jinder here. Oh, maybe not. As Buddy Murphy takes down Sonjay Dutt. But Buddy Murphy knows that he can't pin him because he's got no protection. So takes out Jinder. If Buddy Murphy comes across now and pins Sonjay Dutt, he's got a chance here. Or he could just get trapped in the corner. Yeah, well, let's get trapped in the corner instead. That seems to make more sense on this game. Khali went for the pin on Shane Thorne. See, there's so much up for grabs in this match, and it is quite even, to be honest with you. Either of these two teams could pop up and get the victory. It's either going to end 4-1 to India or 3-2 to Australia. It's all up for grabs right now. One of these teams will top the group, and one of them will bottom. Whether it will be joint, I think that's it. Yeah, no! Oh, that could be it. Khali just takes down Shane Thorne with a big strike across the head. So Jinder, I think, just hit the callus on Buddy Murphy, and Buddy Murphy kicked out. But India now are taking more and more control as time goes on. I feel like it's only a matter of time Jinder just dropping Shane Thorne neck first across that top. Ace Crusher by Sonjay Dutt on Nick Miller. Shane Thorne, this is how Jinder got the victory against Nick Miller. That double-handed choke slam. Drags him away from the ropes. Both Nick Miller and Buddy Murphy are on the outside of the ring. Jinder goes in for the pin for the simple 1, 2. Buddy Murphy gets back in. Oh, he did not get there in time. And India pull off the victory, making it 4-1, which means that India will top the group at the end of this episode by 1 point over England. And Australia will be bottom of the group by 1 point to Japan. Wow. What a match that was. It could have gone so many different ways. So many back and forth, but eventually it was the great Khali who showed his dominance once again with that double-handed choke slam. He's hit it a few times now. Of course, he got the victory earlier on in his singles match with it and then gets the victory here as well. And that's a great win there for Team India. Team India will top the group. I will bring up the league table in a couple of seconds. But yeah, that's a really strong win there for India, whose next match is then going to be against Japan. So that will be first in the group versus third in the group, as England will take on Australia. So second in the group versus bottom. I think that's going to sort the men out from the boys. I think once we get the second episodes, the second round of matches underway, we'll be able to see exactly how the league table looks. So talk about the league table, then we'll flash it up on the table now on the screen. So as you can see, then we have India top of the table on 4 points. We have England second on the table on 3 points. Japan third with 2. Australia fourth with 1. Now it's not completely over. Of course, Australia still have a chance, depending on their result against Japan, or against England, so sorry. But Australia will need a couple of very, very strong episodes, at least a win, if not even more points, maybe 4 or 5 points in each match, which I think is going to be almost impossible for them. I feel like Australia's best chance was to get a good result here against India, but that's not happened. India's got the strong result, and England and Japan need to be worried about India, because they could easily sneak in that second position, or maybe even win the group. So England and Japan need to pull their finger out and make sure they have a good performance against India. Of course, like I said, it's going to be Japan to do that first. If Japan gets a clean sweep of a 5-0, all of a sudden India out of the competition. If Japan struggle, maybe get a 3-2 victory, all of a sudden India are still in there. That's the thing, that's the interesting one. And if we do end up with a situation at the end of the group stages where 2 teams finish in the same amount of points, we will have to do a buffer match. I'm not going to go down to goal difference or anything like that. We're literally going to, if 2 teams finish in the same amount of points, then we will have a match between those 2 teams to determine who goes through and who doesn't. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. Of course, if you have, then please do hit a like and, of course, subscribe if you want to see some more. Our next episode will be Samoa versus Mexico. That'll be coming up for you in a few days' time, so keep an eye out for that one. And, yeah, that's about it. I've been Chevy Gamer. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. 1, 2, 3.